Every symptom of dementia explained. Symptom 1. Memory loss that progresses and does not reverse. Here's what nobody explains clearly about memory and dementia. It doesn't erase everything at once. It moves in a direction, and that direction is specific. The hippocampus, the brain's filing system for recent events, is one of the first structures damaged by Alzheimer's, which accounts for 60 to 80% of all dementia cases. Old memories stay vivid. New ones stop being saved. The person remembers their wedding in perfect detail, but they can't tell you what they had for lunch. Not because they forgot, because it was never recorded. Then the memory loss moves backward. Recent events, the middle years, the early years, and eventually, in the late stages, the oldest memories go too. Faces loved for decades, names spoken 10,000 times, gone. A 2020 study in JAMA Neurology found that measurable memory decline begins up to 18 years before symptoms are clinically obvious. Normal aging. You forget a name. It comes back. Dementia. An entire conversation disappears, with zero awareness it ever happened. Not a delayed recall, a deleted file. Symptom 2. Loss of ability to complete familiar tasks. Your brain has two completely separate memory systems. One stores facts and events. The other stores how to do things, procedures, sequences, the automatic stuff. Dementia attacks both. The person can no longer sequence a task they've done automatically for 20, 30, 40 years. Making tea, paying a bill, following a recipe they could recite from memory. They start, stop, start again. This is apraxia, the breakdown of learned, purposeful sequences. Early stages, complex tasks break first. Finances, driving, cooking a full meal. Middle stages, simpler ones. Getting dressed, using a remote they've had for years. Late stages, the most basic functions. Feeding themselves, swallowing safely. A 2018 study in Neurology found that difficulty with everyday tasks predicted cognitive decline with 85% accuracy, years before any formal diagnosis. They won't say they can't do it. They'll say they're tired. They'll say later, because admitting that is terrifying. Symptom 3, language and communication breakdown. In 2019, researchers fed recorded conversations into an AI. 82% accuracy identifying who would develop Alzheimer's, up to 7 years before diagnosis. Not brain scans, not blood tests, just words, and the quiet disappearance of them. The condition is called anomia, a persistent, worsening inability to retrieve specific words. Nouns disappear first, replaced with descriptions. The thing you write with. Sentences get shorter. Stories get repeated with full confidence, because the memory of telling them doesn't exist. Eventually, verbal communication may stop almost entirely. Some retain a few words or phrases. Others communicate through expression, touch, sound, the language of the body long after the language of words is gone. The Alzheimer's Research and Prevention Foundation identifies language difficulty as one of the top 3 earliest behavioral symptoms observed by families before any diagnosis is made. It's happening, right in front of them. They just don't know what they're hearing. Symptom 4, disorientation to time, place, and person. You probably think disorientation means forgetting what day it is. That's just where it starts. A 2017 study in Nature Neuroscience found that the brain's grid cells, the internal GPS tracking both location and time, deteriorate in preclinical Alzheimer's before any other observable symptom. The compass breaks first. Everything else follows. The brain doesn't just lose track of time, it relocates itself in time. The person is sitting in their living room in 2025, but they're in 1978. Their parents are still alive. Their children are small. They may try to leave, to go home, while standing in the house they've lived in for decades. Then, disorientation extends to people. A spouse of 50 years, children, siblings, unfamiliar. Temporal disorientation appears in up to 70% of Alzheimer's patients at some stage. And it doesn't malfunction quietly. It malfunctions with complete certainty. Symptom 5, impaired judgment and reasoning. The FBI puts the number at $3 billion every year. Financial fraud targeting older Americans. A significant portion, undiagnosed cognitive decline at the time. Just the disease quietly dismantling the part of the brain that detects risk. Your prefrontal cortex catches the details that don't add up, flags suspicious patterns. In dementia, this region is compromised, sometimes early. The person who ran a business for 30 years hands money to a stranger on the phone without hesitation. Not because they changed, because the system that would have said stop is no longer working. A study in JAMA Internal Medicine found that financial mismanagement preceded an official dementia diagnosis by up to 6 years. The bank statements were showing signs before any brain scan could. Symptom 6, personality, mood, and behavioral changes. Before the data, understand this. The accusations, the aggression, the cruelty, the paranoia are not character, they are neurology. The Alzheimer's Association reports that 90% of people with dementia experience at least one neuropsychiatric symptom, many before cognitive decline is even clinically measurable. Apathy, present in up to 50% of mild cognitive impairment patients. Not sadness, the complete disappearance of motivation, initiative, interest. Paranoia intensifying, accusations of theft, betrayal, aimed most often at the people closest to them, because those are the people the brain reaches for when it can no longer track what happened. Sundowning, wandering, aggression, and then, as the disease progresses further, a quieter version. Withdrawn, disconnected. The person once defined by warmth and humor, unreachable. Still present, but somewhere the disease has made inaccessible. Symptom 7, withdrawal, isolation, and loss of independence. The withdrawal starts as a choice. Think about what any social situation feels like when you can't follow the conversation at speed, when you can't remember the name of someone who clearly expects you to. Pulling back is protecting dignity. It's the last form of control available. A 2021 study in the Lancet identified social isolation as contributing to approximately 4% of all global dementia cases, roughly 2.2 million people. And the devastating irony, the withdrawal that dementia drives, to protect dignity, accelerates the cognitive decline it was trying to hide. Dropping out of groups, abandoning lifelong hobbies, stopping driving, not from physical limitations but because navigation became frightening. Eventually, driving stops entirely. Living alone becomes unsafe. Full-time care becomes necessary. The world shrinks to a single room, a single bed. The person who once filled every space they walked into, contained now in 4 walls. Symptom 8, physical and neurological deterioration. Here's what most people never get told about dementia. It doesn't just destroy the mind, it destroys the body. Because the brain doesn't just store memories, it runs everything. The eyes work perfectly. The brain stops correctly decoding what they're showing it, reaching for objects and missing them, misjudging depth, getting disoriented in dim hallways. Their eye exam? Perfect. The problem is entirely in the brain. Movement slows, coordination deteriorates, shuffling gait, increased fall risk. People with dementia are 3 times more likely to experience hip fractures, with significantly worse recovery outcomes. In the final stage, the body begins to lose its most basic functions. Swallowing becomes dangerous. Aspiration pneumonia is one of the leading causes of death in late-stage dementia. Bladder and bowel control are lost. Immune function weakens. The body that carried a full life, breaking down, system by system, as the brain loses the ability to coordinate it. The average life expectancy after an Alzheimer's diagnosis is 8 to 10 years. The disease moves at different speeds for different people, but the direction is always the same.